Hey, podcast listening people, Connor Doobie here. Welcome into B2B Mentors. This is the Connor's Curiosities series that I bring to you a little bit of commentary on business, marketing, and B2B sales. Gotta love that intro. It hits, man. It hits. Please do me a tiny favor. Make sure you go and subscribe. We are on all your favorite podcast apps. Please go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review so others can find the show too. Those of you that are in marketing, you know SEO rankings is everything, and having those reviews is extremely helpful. So if you feel like I've brought you any value, please do me that very tiny favor and go subscribe for me. This is the 4th edition. I've done 4 of these Connor's Curiosities. It is August the 4th. The year is 2021, and I'm bringing this show to you completely unfiltered, unscripted, unrestricted, and I don't even go in and post-edit this. I want to show and highlight for you guys, as part of doing this as well, how incredibly easy it can be to create content, and not only content, but consistent content and consistent communications. You don't have to get crazy fancy with it. I'm just one Joe, Schmo, Bo, hanging here, talking into the microphone, talking into your ears. And hopefully from your perspective, I have definitely brought you some value. If you're subscribed to the podcast, we every single Monday release a new interview with a mentor and a subject matter expert and an industry mover and shaker. So make sure you're subscribed for those Monday episode releases. And then I'm coming at you one-to-one Tuesday through Friday to bring you what we call Connor's Curiosities. My team, I think, was saying call it Doobie's Views or something like that. I don't know. We came up with a bunch of random names. We landed on Connor's Curiosities. Let me know what you think. I did decide we're going to publish this out to YouTube. So if you want access to the video, or if you're finding this on YouTube, you can go find this on all the podcast apps. If you want to listen on the go, drop any questions, feel free to send me a DM on any social media platform that you find me on. I respond to all of my DMs, and I absolutely thrive. I thrive off of your guys' feedback, your comments, your thoughts, your insights. Before we dive in really quick, make sure you go check out our partners. We wouldn't be able to do this show for you without our partners over at activeblogs.com. If you're struggling to keep up with your company's blogs, newsletters, social media content, you can go to Active Blogs, fill out the What I Need Fast form really quick. Make sure you let them know that we referred you over here. They can help to improve the quality of what you're doing, save tons of time, and achieve much better results. So you can have a regular stream of communications. You know, as I mentioned, if you struggle to keep up with this and you really just want to outsource it to the experts in the world of B2B, then these are the guys to go to. I've mentioned this a couple days now. Next Wednesday, I am freaking pumped for this. We have almost 300 people already signed up on our LinkedIn registration page for this free training we're doing next Wednesday on neuromarketing. So if you want to learn how to implement neuromarketing to grow your business with the science of persuasion, check out this free webinar that we are putting on activeblogs.com/neuromarketing. I'm bringing in the expert, not me. I'm bringing in the expert, guys. He literally wrote the book on applying neuromarketing, Patrick Renvois. We're going to teach you the science of persuasion, the only 6 stimuli for the decision maker, the primal brain, and immediately actionable neuromarketing strategies. So go to activeblogs.com/neuromarketing, activeblogs.com/neuromarketing. One thing I forgot to mention too, actually, our live stream. So I don't stream this live to LinkedIn, this Connor's Curiosity show. Maybe I will someday. You guys have to let me know if you'd be interested in that, if you mostly follow me on LinkedIn. But all of our podcast interviews that we do run with guests, you have the ability to ask questions in real time and actually watch the interview live. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, Connor Doobie, you'll be able to see all of our B2B mentors interviews. I've brought in, CMOs from top companies, subject matter experts like Patrick, and much, much more. There's tons of value packed into those interviews. If you've ever heard me do a podcast before, which I've only been podcasting for 4 years now, and if you're new to me, hey, what's up? Nice to meet you. Welcome. I pack those things with not a lot of fluff. Like I try to avoid fluff. A lot of podcasts stuff their shows with tons of fluff. I try to keep it as actionable and as valuable to you, the listener, as much as possible. Quick question for you. Topic I was thinking about for today is, have you ever heard the phrase hindsight is 2020? I'm sure you've probably heard that before. What does that actually mean, right? Hindsight's 2020. And in hindsight, which is ironic because today I want to really talk about this last year. Everything in this last year, if you could go back, how would you do things differently? How would you do business differently? How would you implement your marketing differently? What are some different steps that you might take? What are some actions you might take? And I have some great support resources for you on how to not get stuck, left behind moving forward, and actually get ahead of the curve of what's coming down the, is it pipe or pike? Coming down the pike or the pike? I don't know. One of the two. Something that happened last year, which disrupted many a number of businesses, lack of the ability to travel, lack of the ability to fly your sales team out and meet with your sales prospects, going to conferences, trade shows. I know companies that I've worked with that put millions of dollars into conferences and trade shows every single year. And that's a huge driver of new business. They rely on that for their sales pipeline, even if it's at a micro scale of going to networking events, right? Obviously, a lot of that was cut at its knees because of COVID-19. And I've been pushing for these very, I would say, archaic industries to make big pushes into digital and content marketing and digital marketing. And not, trade shows aren't bad, by the way. I'm not against trade shows. Cold calling still works. Sending mailers still work. Like all these traditional methods still work. But at the end of the day, in the modern world, you have to have a digital presence. And a lot of people are, I've really skipped out on this over the years, and it really, really hurt them and impacted them in 2020. And I could almost guarantee it's going to happen again. You hear all the fear mongering about the new strains of COVID, and there will always be new strains of COVID. We're going to probably live with COVID for as long as human beings are around. It's just here to stay. There's no two ways around it. But because of what we experienced last year, and governments, trade associations, they know that they can stop doing events and they can put everybody back on lockdown. Chances are trade shows, if they don't get restricted again because of these new COVID variants that are coming out, then they may be limited significantly again and back to doing a lot more online stuff, which you and I both know there's a lot of benefit in being able to meet people in person to do business. So what should you know about relying on trade shows? Well, a lot of these industries I've talked to years ago I've been hammering on them to implement digital marketing, and they've been so resistant and realize that they can't put that off anymore. You cannot just rely on one stream of income, just like you can't rely on one stream of marketing. You should have a number of different ways that you can open up a funnel, open up a pipeline. Some of the smarter marketers last year, they started podcasting right when things shut down. They started implementing their digital initiatives, but it really truly takes years to build your brand online. It doesn't have to take years, but it takes time. you have to, number one, be able to reach enough of the right people with digital marketing, and especially B2B marketing. But number two, because of how crazy things are, how busy people are in their lives, all the stuff that's going on, you have to be able to consistently stay in front of people. And that is what digital brings to the table. So chances are you may have missed out on some major opportunities if you're behind the bell curve on digital marketing. If you're listening to this podcast, you're probably proactive on it. But I want to put this prediction out there and create the awareness on this, that chances are conferences, trade shows, and events will likely be restricted once again. And we can't just simply rely on that for our digital marketing. I found this really great article here. Let me get my screen pop back up, working all the odds and ends. This was put out by the AMA, American Marketing Association, huge association of CMOs, marketers, agencies, you name it. Did you possibly miss some major marketing opportunities during COVID? Even if you're already active in digital, chances are probably, and that's okay. Now is an opportunity to learn, grow, and implement from that. So what they did is they went out, the CMO survey conducted a special COVID-19 edition survey. And I want to brief you on some of these details and what they found, some of my takeaways. And I guarantee there's something, a golden nugget, a little golden nugget that you can take away from this. They conducted the survey asking marketing leaders at US for-profit companies to share their survival strategies, KPIs, and predictions about the future. What emerged, what they found, what they discovered and uncovered was pretty interesting. So first off, some of the emerging opportunities that they had listed out and discussed within this article. Number one, customers prioritize trusted relationships. You might be surprised to find, depending on what business you're in, even though a lot of people lost their jobs, even though it seemed everything was hairy and scary, consumers, businesses were still actively buying products, buying services, and engaging in commerce at a pretty high rate. I mean, God, look at how much Amazon grew. People were at home. They're making more purchases. CEOs, CMOs, CTOs, name, plug in your target prospect. We're likely doing more research, doing more thoughtful overview of everything that they're implementing, everything they're taking action on. Business was still going, and it is right now. Now, I think things are going to hit a shitstorm in the coming probably 12 to 48 months. It takes some time for the economics, for the economy to catch up to the current state of what you see around you and what's happening. But for the time being, and for the future, when things do get rough and we are in a very, very hard, difficult down economy, some of these pieces that I pulled out of here will help you. So marketers identify trusted relationships as customers' highest priority over the next 12 months. Impressively, the highest percentage of marketers expect customers to focus more on trusting relationships than low price, despite the economic downturn. This is not a fluke. Customers' focus on trusting relationships has increased. So let me emphasize that. Customers' focus on trusting relationships has increased by 47% since this question was first asked in 2009. So that's almost a 50% increase from 2009. Customers, your clients, whether it's a multi-million-dollar sale or you're selling a $10 water bottle or product or service, trust is much more of an emphasis for people nowadays than the price of things. And what does that mean for you? It goes back to what I mentioned earlier about digital branding and marketing. Those are some of the best ways to build significant trust. And it's hard not to trust me when I don't even edit these Connor's Curiosities podcasts. I'm just doing this thing on the fly. It's true. It's unfiltered. I'm not scathing anything off or withholding anything that I might have accidentally said. I'm just here to build trust and to show you that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to this stuff. Number two, digital bets are paying off, which is obvious. Online sales have grown to the highest level in the CMO survey history. They now constitute 19.3% of sales, a 43% increase over just 3 months ago. Small companies, those with fewer than 500 employees, are taking advantage of selling online, with e-commerce accounting for 26.1% of sales. Now, if you're a B2B marketer, what is really, and actually we've implemented some of this as well. You think, okay, well, I'm selling this incredibly high dollar product or service. And obviously people aren't going to go to my website and just sign up and pay for it. That's absolutely true. But the increase, if we go back to trust, when people transact with you, first they have to trust you, then they transact with you, then they trust you even more if you deliver on what you've transacted. So this is a really key opportunity for you to actually get customers to transact with you, because people like to buy, they don't like to be sold to. When you're in those high dollar B2B sales scenarios, it is a very, it's a very, there's a lot of sales involved in that scenario versus a customer comes through and they buy something from you just online on your website or whatever. This is a key area where you can create ebooks, mini products, training products, micro gifts, stuff like that, that you can actually go out and sell to create a customer base where there's a bigger pool to upsell. So if you sell an IT product or service and it's a $100,000 a month engagement, maybe you can do a automated evaluation somehow, or some sort of checklist that a customer can go to your website when they find you and actually pay $5 for it, or they can pay $10, or it can be $100. It doesn't matter. It's a microtransaction, but those microtransactions build trust. Number three, in the emerging marketing opportunities, this one should be obvious to everyone, but social media pays off. Some 84.2% say that they have used social media for brand building, and 54.3% say they have used it for customer retention during the pandemic. Given this focus, marketers have increased their investment in social media budgets by 74% since February, increasing as a percent of marketing budgets from 13.3 to 23.2%. So yesterday I talked about how marketing budgets have actually been slashed, but even with marketing budgets being slashed, CMOs and marketers are diving much more into social media. What does this mean for you if you're an agency? Well, social media agencies, there's a lot of increased value there because marketers don't have time. What does this mean if you're a marketer internally with a company? Your peers are diving into social media much more than before. And I hear this often in a lot of industries. My favorite thing people say to me is, well, my buyers don't work like that. They don't buy, my customers aren't on LinkedIn. My customers aren't on Facebook. But here's what you fail to realize. In a high dollar B2B transaction, there are about 5 to 10 plus decision makers, influencers, and people who are involved in that transaction. So social media marketing isn't just about reaching and building trust with your direct customer, but it's really also about reaching all the influencers within those accounts. This is where account-based social media marketing comes to play. I'll have to do a whole nother topic on ABM social media strategy, but the opportunity is there. So if you think your prospects aren't on social media, you're just absolutely incorrect in that notion, because the influencers may hand off a piece of content you put out. They may introduce you, so on and so forth. By the way, I want to make a comment on this article on the AMA really quick. This is an article from 2020. And the reason I am bringing this article, because this wasn't just published yesterday, this information is so crucial because we're still in that state of fear and being open and going back to business per usual. So all of these apply even more now than they did last year, because now, again, hindsight's 2020. Now we can really reflect on this stuff and know, based on what actions companies have taken last year, what we need to be implementing. Number 4, marketers do much more with a lower headcount. 9% of marketing jobs have been lost during this pandemic, during the year of 2020, leaving marketing departments to do more with fewer people. What's interesting about this is you can actually, most of these companies have probably realized that they have a lot of fluff. Like they had maybe 5 or 6 people internally that they could have gone to one vendor for cheaper investment to get those actions done. This happens in the content business. We find clients and they have, a whole pool of writers and 20 different people on their team trying to organize getting their blogs done and their newsletters and their LinkedIn content. And once they lost all those people and they came in and they hired us to do content for them, we cut the costs and we're actually able to get more out there more effectively. So you find there's a lot of fluff. What's the word I'm looking for? Maybe, I don't know if fluff is the right word. There's a lot of waste in having a high headcount. Lean companies that are innovative, quick to move, and can take action regularly seem to be winning out in this marketplace. So I'm going to list out some of these missed marketing opportunities. After I take a sip of water here. Dehydrated myself. Okay, so number 1, marketers turn inward for COVID-19 problem solving. This is something I've been pushing marketers to do for many number of years. When asked what types of information they use to guide their company's marketing strategies during the pandemic, most marketers indicate they turned inward. 82.6% rely on team members, 80.8% turn to top management, and 70.1% lean on their sales team for expertise. Now that point right there is really crucial. Marketers and sales have been operating in these vacuums for so many years now, and it causes a lot of bottlenecks in terms of marketing production and marketing output. Marketing will create content, give it over to their sales team. They'll create it in a vacuum, and they, are out there expressing like, "Hey, dude, why is sales not using that white paper I created? Why is sales not using that blog article? Why are they not sharing our videos?" Well, the reason is it doesn't reflect what they're actually communicating with prospects. Chances are it doesn't reflect the things that they're hearing and seeing out there in the actual field. I've done in some of our podcast interviews, I've asked some of these CMOs on what are they doing for effective marketing and sales enablement, and basically sales and marketing alignment. That's a big topic nowadays, right? Sales and marketing alignment. They take their marketing team members and have them literally do ride-alongs with their sales team. If it's in person, or they listen in on sales calls, they listen in on recordings, and some of the best out there have regular weekly or monthly scheduled meetings with their sales team, and they ask their sales team, "Hey, what are some of the top questions that you're being asked in the sales process? What are some of the biggest concerns of our buyers right now? What are some of their biggest technical questions?" Even think about your account team. Hey, what are some of the biggest questions our customers ask us? And then marketing is going and creating collateral and content based on those insights that they're getting from sales, account management team. It's a genius way that, number 1, can help you create infinite amounts of content, and number 2, put it out in a way that actually is valuable, is actually usable by your sales team, and is actually of interest to be consumed by your prospects out there. Number 2 in the list of missed marketing opportunities through COVID, new partnerships. I did this myself. I went out and I created 6 or 7 other agency partnerships who don't do what we do, or maybe do what we do, but in different forms, and created incentives and profit centers for them to either refer business or resell business or kind of co-sell business together. This webinar that I'm putting on with Patrick, this neuromarketing webinar that we're co-marketing, there's great value here because I'm going to drive him business and I get to leverage his authority and his expertise to bring this information to our existing audience, but also to potential prospects. So this webinar is going to help us build our list, build his list. There's a mutual value and synergy there. And the greatest of the greats within this last year of 2020 have realized, hey, maybe competition isn't really a thing. Maybe co-opetition is what we should be looking at. Maybe someone who we've kind of stood off or avoided or ignored as a potential competitor of ours could actually be a really great partner of ours that could be either an additional profit center for us, or maybe we could be a great profit center for them. So if you're not taking action on partnerships, this is even companies that are good with partnerships aren't scaling partnerships. Maybe put some thought into that, my friends. How can you find partners and go out and scale those relationships so that it's mutually beneficial and profitable for all of you? Okay. So I got my numbers mixed up here. 1, 2, and 3. Number 3, in terms of missed marketing opportunities, marketers moving too fast for experimentation. I thought this was actually pretty surprising and interesting. I thought more marketers would be experimenting with stuff outside of the realm of what they're normally used to, but marketers reported a need to pivot, with respondents rating their level of improvisation as an average of 5.6 out of 7 during the pandemic. Despite increased improvisation, there has been a decrease in experimentation, with only 31% of marketers reporting that they conducted experiments. So let me define the two. Improvision is not the same as experimentation. And improvision means that, oh shit, we can't do trade shows this year. We need to improvise by doing much more on the digital front. Experimentation is, okay, these are kind of uncertain, unproven things that we've never really dove into. We're not going to spend a lot of budget on a Facebook campaign if we've never really seen it work for our industry. We've never really seen it work for ourselves. I think right now, the way things are, marketing is a little bit about experimentation, but I don't think people should be in a position where they have to improvise too aggressively when shit hits the fan again in the coming year. And it will. I guarantee that lockdowns are going to be pushed again. I guarantee trade shows, conferences, and events will probably be pushed again. So what does that mean for you? And speaking of experimentation, limit the risk of your experimentation by taking action on things like the webinar that we're putting on neuromarketing. It's not based on like hypothetical action taking in your marketing. It's based on real science and real data. So that was Connor's Curiosities for today, my friends. I appreciate you so much. I'm seriously grateful. I get your DMs. I respond to your DMs. This is new on YouTube, so if you want to drop any comments, questions, thoughts on YouTube, I appreciate you so much. Make sure you subscribe. Please go to iTunes, leave a 5-star review. And next week, if you want to take action on that neuromarketing webinar, activeblogs.com/neuromarketing, activeblogs.com/neuromarketing. With that, my marketing friends, make it great, and I will